This is Michael Popok. Legal AF, biggest fraud case of the century against Donald Trump, brought by the New York Attorney General, has a Shakespearean element to it. Daughter against father. There is no such thing as daughter-father privilege. There's the Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. The question now on everybody's minds is, will Ivanka Trump take the stand? And how much legwork, preparatory work, has the New York Attorney General done to see if Ivanka Trump will take the stand without invoking the Fifth Amendment? She's listed as a witness by the New York Attorney General, one of 34, not as a defendant, because I'll remind everyone, she was a defendant as part of the civil fraud case. There were many aspects of what she did that the New York Attorney General once alleged was fraudulent, including insurance fraud with buildings in Chicago and otherwise, and about the old post office building in Washington that became a Trump hotel during his presidency. And she owned it through, Ivanka owned a piece of that through a company called Ivanka OPO, Old Post Office LLC. But she got out of the case by the appellate court that sits above Judge Engoron, ruling over the summer that the transactions for which she would have been responsible were outside the statute of limitations of 6 years, and therefore she couldn't be sued over them. That's the only reason. It's not that she didn't do the bad things. It's that Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, was unable to bring her case quick enough to capture those bad things. But even before that, we speculated, on reasonable speculation of 32-year trial lawyer, that Ivanka Trump was in talks one way or the other, in a dialogue, in a conversation with the New York Attorney General, because she's the only person, before her case even got dismissed, who was able to convince the New York AG, the OAG, the Office of Attorney General, to let her out from having a independent third-party monitor sit on top of all of her financial dealings and financial transactions. Barbara Jones, former federal judge, was appointed about a year ago by Judge Engoron in response to an injunction sought by the New York Attorney General under the same powers that she's operating under now. Executive law, New York Executive Law 63-12. Gives her the power to seek an injunction if there is persistent fraud proven. The judge ruled that there was persistent fraud for an injunction standard, more likely than not, and he appointed a monitor paid for by Donald Trump, Barbara Jones, former federal judge, to look at all of the Trump organization, Trump entities, Trump relatives, financial dealings, and report back to the judge. But about halfway through, when she changed to new lawyers that weren't necessarily tied to Donald Trump or the sons, the brothers, that new lawyer was able to negotiate her getting out from under that, arguing she hadn't been with the Trump organization since 2017. She was just a mom with a couple of kids down in Florida and all of that. And we were shocked that the New York Attorney General, who's pretty tough, right? Iron Maiden, let her out, let Ivanka out. And we speculated, what was that in return for? Because we couldn't see Letitia James doing it without a deal. Now, fast forward a year later, Ivanka is not a defendant because the appellate court let her out. She's not under the monitor because Letitia James let her out, and she's listed as an executive of Ivanka OPO and an affiliate of the Trump organization on the list. Now, they're not going to put her up on the stand, even though they'll issue a subpoena for her, unless they're sure she's going to testify. And we have, therefore, the Fifth Amendment problem, not the daughter-father privilege problem. That doesn't exist. We have the privilege problem on the Fifth Amendment. Now, her civil claims against Ivanka, are barred by statute of limitations. They're time barred. So nobody can go after her for that. But the interesting question is, are crimes still possible to be prosecuted against her, federally or state, for the persistent fraud? And our colleague on Legal AF, my former prosecutor, Karen Friedman-Ignifilo, thinks that because of the persistent nature of the fraud and the continuing nature of the fraud, there may be a way for everybody to be prosecuted by Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan District Attorney, maybe by the feds, but I doubt it. So if she's still exposed, unless Alvin Bragg comes out and gives her a letter that says, you are not ever going to be a criminal defendant, we will never prosecute you. She could argue to the New York Attorney General, I can't testify because it puts me in harm's way, right? It subjects me to possible criminal liability and criminal exposure. I can't do that. So follow this two-step. Letitia James and Alvin Bragg are very close. New York Attorney General, Office of Attorney General, Manhattan District Attorney, criminal side. They have been working together hand in glove on the Trump investigation almost from the beginning. Parallel tracks. At some point, the one for the criminal prosecution and investigation sort of got stamped out and stubbed out. But the one for the civil fraud continued. But they have people working in each other's offices. There are Office of Attorney General attorneys working in the Manhattan DA's office at the time and vice versa. And so they were always planning to hit him with both barrels, a civil case, Donald Trump, and a criminal prosecution on the issues related to the civil fraud, right? Not the Stormy Daniels hush money cover-up stuff that's separately being prosecuted by that same office. So here's the two-step. Letitia James picks up the phone, calls Alvin Bragg, who's a friend of hers, and says, why don't you give out a letter on letterhead, a Manhattan DA, that tells my witness, Ivanka, that she's not going to be subject to criminal prosecution, and then she'll testify without asserting the Fifth Amendment at the trial of her father. But she'll only do that if she thinks she's got a deal, Letitia. So there has to be a dialogue going on between the two of them. Just because you list the person on the witness list doesn't mean that you're going to use them. But to sweeten the deal or to lay roses in front of Ivanka to get her to consider doing this, I did note one aspect, that the Office of Attorney General has released and has used clips of depositions, which are sworn testimony outside the courtroom, but under oath, like you're in the courtroom, has used it for Donald Trump, who originally took the Fifth 400 times, but then gave another deposition testimony just recently to try to sell Letitia James the fact he wasn't committing fraud. It backfired. Don Jr., Eric Trump. Eric took the Fifth a lot. Michael Cohen, who's already given testimony by way of video deposition in the courtroom. Alan Weisselberg, disgraced convicted felon, former chief financial officer for the Trump Organization. I've seen all those clips. I haven't seen any clips of the August 2022 deposition that was taken of Ivanka Trump. And my working theory is, Letitia James is playing nice, right? Velvet glove, velvet hammer. Let's not antagonize Ivanka Trump, so the theory would go. Let's not publish and put in front of the judge and the world and put it on my website, the Office of Attorney General, the video deposition testimony of Ivanka yet. Let me make a phone call to my counterpart over at the prosecutor's office on the criminal side. Let me talk to Alvin Bragg, see if I can get a letter. Tell her she doesn't have to worry about any more case because the First Department Appellate Division has already ruled there is no case against her civilly, so she's free to testify. Now, she can't take the Fifth. If she gets up on the stand, she'll have to testify at that point because there is no criminal case she's concerned about. And that's the only way you can use the Fifth Amendment. So the judge could compel her to testify. But like a recalcitrant, foot-dragging, Ivanka trying to protect her brothers and her father, that's a dangerous place to be. And the Attorney General doesn't need it in order to make her case. Be nice. It would be weather changing. It would be air sucking to have Ivanka come in the room and testify against her father. But does Letitia James need it to prove her case? I'm not sure about that. And if she doesn't need it, then she wouldn't take that risk. But listing her doesn't mean she's calling Ivanka. But I am picking up, just reading the runes and the tea leaves here, no video deposition shown so far of Ivanka to embarrass her. Ivanka let out from being from having a monitor for financial affairs by Letitia James. Didn't have to do that. And her being found not to be liable for any civil fraud because of statute of limitations. All points the arrow in favor of Ivanka testifying if we can get over the criminal prosecution part so she drops the Fifth Amendment protection. What would be her advantage to doing that? It's either real that she wants to somehow separate from her father, which I don't believe, and just go about being a mother of 2 small children down in Florida with her husband. Or it's performative art, right? Donald Trump has told her through intermediaries, save yourself. I got a crazed New York Attorney General and a crazed judge. Do whatever you can. Dump all over me. It doesn't matter. We're never going to win this case anyway. Save yourself. Women and children first. Head for the lifeboats. That's probably closer to what's going on here. I can't possibly believe that Ivanka Trump, whose entire financial dealings are tied up with her father, is going to suddenly grow a conscience over the last year or over the last month and testify against him and the brothers. So, and if she does, she's going to face hostile cross-examination by Chris Geis, Alina Habba, and others, where they're going to have to tear her to shreds because they're going to try to win the case. If they don't do that, then the fix is in, and it's just performative theater, and that she's just doing it with Donald Trump's begrudging blessing. We'll watch it. And what happens next in the trial over the next 3 to 5 months. And particularly, I'm going to focus on Ivanka Trump and bring you updates right here, one place only, on hot takes like this one. On the YouTube channel for MeidasTouch, you knew that. You're here. Help them get to 2 million free subscribers. The bigger they are as a platform, the bigger your voice is and the more it resonates. Watch, we curate the best of these kind of stories at the intersection of law, politics, and justice on Legal AF, the leading podcast devoted to those types of things that I co-founded and co-anchor. Same place, MeidasTouch Network, and you can pick it up wherever your audio podcasts are. Give me a thumbs up in this podcast or this hot take. It helps with my rankings, helps move me up to the top of the charts so you get more of my content. You can follow me on playlists over on the YouTube channel for MeidasTouch under Michael Popok. Until my next hot take, until my next episode of Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.